Good evening, and welcome to the 30th Annual Meeting of the Aquidneck Land Trust. I'm Jonathan Giewers, Board Chair of ALT. Thank you all for joining us. We miss seeing you in person and hope you all have been well since our last meeting. There are a few housekeeping items to mention before we get started. We're recording this meeting and we'll post a link on our website next week. We'll endeavor to answer any questions posted in this chat feature, either tonight or by email tomorrow. I'd like to thank our key sponsor, FL Putnam Investment Management Company, and our other corporate sponsors, Rockland Trust, Charles Schwab, and Narragansett Engineering for sponsoring this meeting. We're all very grateful to you for your loyal support, which has made the accomplishments highlighted in our presentation this evening possible. On behalf of the ALT board, staff, and advisors, we thank you. I would like now to introduce Zia Aptekar, Treasurer of the Aquidneck Land Trust.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to report our financial performance for the fiscal year ending in September 2020. This information is in the annual report, which will be posted on our website and mailed to donors next week. Next slide, please. I would like to start with an overview of our operating results. General operating revenues are the unrestricted contributions and income that fund our ongoing and day-to-day operations. Like many other organizations and businesses, we were also impacted by the economic damages of the pandemic. The operating revenues for the year, thus, as shown on the left chart at $855,000, were below budget and last year. ALT's management team reacted swiftly and decisively by containing costs without jeopardizing the effectiveness of the organization. As shown on the middle chart, the total expenses for the year at $834,000 were sharply below budget and last year. These cost containment actions resulted in a positive net income of $21,000 for the year. This is really a remarkable performance, considering that the year was budgeted to be a break-even year, and our forecast in late spring was pointing to a major loss for the year. Incidentally, this net income does not include any revenues from the payroll protection plan of the CARES Act. That will be posted in 2021. Despite the roller coaster stock market in 2020, our total investments increased in value by $728,000, as shown on the chart on the right. Next slide, please. ALT's total revenues, both operating as well as the restricted for the full year, were an aggregate total of $3,773,000. Revenues by categories, starting clockwise from left of the slide, consisted of $250,000 or 7% from grants, $284,000 or 8% from donations and appeals. Incidentally, this number represents the highest amount of appeals revenue in over a dozen years, a remarkable indication of the commitment of all of ALT's supporters. $867,000 or 23% came from our investments. $160,000 or 4% were from events. It is also important to note that although the Fiesta Verde event was canceled due to the pandemic, the creative alternative reduced the cost, and the net income of $140,000 for that event was actually $5,600 more than what we had budgeted for the year. $119,000 or 3% came from membership and dues. This number is also noteworthy as it indicates an increase over both the budget and a growth on a year-to-year basis. And lastly, the largest category of revenues of $2,084,000, or 55% of total revenues, were restricted funds that were raised for the upcoming land acquisition projects. Next slide, please. Total expenditures, again, operating as well as those for land acquisitions for the fiscal year, were at $932,000. Total expenditures by category, starting from left of slide clockwise, consisted of $153,000, or 16% for stewardship costs, $180,000, or 19% for fundraising activities, $157,000, or 17% for membership and education, $275,000, or 30% for management and general administration, and lastly, $167,000, or 18%, was spent on land protection and improvements. Next slide, please. The Marcella Clark McCormick Stewardship Investment Fund grew to $8,323,000 by the end of last fiscal year. You know, ALT's mission and our commitment to land protection doesn't end with just protecting a property. We are obligated to monitor and care for the 2,600 plus acres that we have protected thus far in perpetuity. As an accredited land trust, ALT adheres to the highest national standards and is recognized by the Land Trust Alliance as a leader in the stewardship endowment area. ALT is one of a very small number of land trusts that have restricted funds that fully covers the perpetual stewardship cost of its conserved parcels. You know, while $8.3 million in a stewardship fund is a large sum, our analysis show that we are adequately and not excessively funded to ensure our future obligations are met forever. 2020 was one of the most turbulent periods in our country in over a century. The turmoil brought by the pandemic had a devastating impact on our nation's economy and, unfortunately, continues to this date. Yet, as you saw in this financial report, last year was an extraordinary year for our organization from a number of perspectives. Our financial performance in the fiscal year was also one of those accomplishments. This could not have been possible without the tireless dedication of our professional team, and most importantly, the grassroots support of its members, all of you. So thank you very, very much. Now I would like to introduce the chair of the Board of Governance Committee, Linda McGoldrick.
Thank you, Zia. Good evening. For 31 years now, ALT has enjoyed the benefit of outstanding leadership in board members, advisors, and staff, and 2021 certainly builds on this extraordinary tradition. The Board of Trustees would ask you to recognize the efforts of our outgoing trustee, Karen Menezes, for serving our organization and making it stronger. Karen served actively on both the board and at the committee level. Her commitment to ALT and her deep knowledge of agricultural issues is very valuable and much appreciated. Thank you, Karen. The boards voted to extend the terms of several trustees: Tim Brown, Charles Clarkson, Bill Harvey, Jane Kirkpatrick, Linda McGoldrick, and Meg Steiner for another 2-year term. The board thanks them for their continued dedication to ALT. The Board Governance Committee has put forward two terrific supporters to join the Land Trust Board of Trustees. They are Ellen Bowman and Dr. Martha McConnell. We will now ask if there are any objections while I take a pause.
Majority rules.
Motion passes. Welcome, Ellen and Martha, to the ALT Board. We also welcome two new members of the ALT Advisory Board, longtime supporter Lily Dick, and past ALT Board Chair Nancy Jameson. We thank Nancy for her 6 years of outstanding service and certainly as our immediate past president. Thank you both for joining the advisory board. We all look forward to working together. And I'm pleased to present the following slate of officers for the Land Trust Board of Trustees 2021. Jonathan Giewirtz, Chair. Tom Hockaday, Vice Chair. Zia Eftekar, Treasurer. Jane Kirkpatrick, Secretary. And I'll now turn the program over ALT's Executive Director, Chuck Allett, who will share the details of the last fiscal year with you.
Thank you, Linda. Trustees, advisors, members, and dignitaries, good evening and welcome to the 30th annual meeting of the Aquidneck Land Trust. Thank you for joining us tonight virtually, and hopefully we will all be together in person next year this time. I want to thank publicly the dedicated ALT staff for the terrific work they have done over the last year, much of which was done under very trying circumstances. So my great thanks go out to all of them. Super job. It was a great year for conservation on Aquidneck Island. Let's look at a few of this year's high points. There are many others that we don't have time to highlight this evening, but you can read about them on our website or in our annual report that donors will receive later this month. At last year's annual meeting, we announced a campaign to conserve 7.5 acres of the historic Glen Farm in Portsmouth. This historic property has very important conservation values and was under immediate threat of development. We received over 260 donations and grants in under a year, raising $472,000 needed to permanently protect this parcel via a conservation easement. And that will close later in this year. We know that the very people here this evening are the same people who stepped up to fund this campaign. So our thanks to you. Our thanks also go out to the Rhode Island DEM, the Apple Pickers Foundation, and the Burgess family for supporting this project. A special thanks to the owners of the land, Meredith and Jason Spatelnik, and Steve Johnson for showing their commitment to conserving this property and by working with ALT. In July, we announced a campaign to conserve 5.49 acres adjacent to Sweetberry Farm, a local landmark that has already worked with ALT to conserve over 80 acres of its farmland, and which is a perfect example of the local innovative agriculture that ALT works to support and protect. Thanks to the generous donations of our island community on this project as well, the town of Middletown, the Rhode Island Agricultural Lands Preservation Commission, and others, we are now just $15,000 away from reaching our goal of raising $269,000 to conserve this parcel. And I want to thank Jan and Ted Eckhart as well, who are the owners of this property, for working with us. Many of you have attended our annual meetings in the past where we pass around a hiking boot for donations to support our current project. Well, we're doing that tonight. We're passing a boot virtually, and anyone wishing to help us close the gap on this project may do so by donating on our website or by opening your camera and scanning the QR code on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We will post that QR code at the end of the meeting as well, so thank you. I am thrilled to announce the recent conservation of 13.62 acres of land in Newport, split between two properties located on the island's south end. The conservation easements were donated to the land trust by their respective owners at the end of 2020. Mary Cushion Coleman donated 9.85 acres, and EC Properties LLC donated another 3.77 acres. Both properties are private, but their conservation assures that they will remain as open space forever. The Cushing property, located on Ocean Drive, includes the landmark geologic formation known as Spouting Rock, which still explodes in high surf. It has 3,000 feet of rocky shoreline, natural vegetation, and lawn areas jutting into the Atlantic Ocean between Bailey's Beach and Gooseberry Beach. In addition to the cultural and historic values that this setting provides, it also has other conservation values, such as wildlife habitat and coastal water resource protection. The EC Properties LLC parcel on Ledge Road has 200 feet of coastline and is visible from the world-famous Cliff Walk Trail. The site offers scenic views of Ocean Avenue, Bailey's Beach, and Rejects Beach, and can be seen from boaters and sailors passing by on the ocean. The site has typical Newport outcroppings and a number of tidal pools. Just a couple of years ago, this land was slated for development, and now we have protected it forever. Both properties are located within the center of the Newport Neck Greenway, which includes over 400 acres of land protected by conservation easement or deed restriction. The conservation of these properties will help increase contiguity of the habitat and viewshed corridor in the Newport Neck Greenway. We are very grateful to the owners for donating the easements on their property and for the commitment they've made to conservation. However, I should note, it's not all a rosy picture on the land conservation front. We also lost some beautiful properties this year to development. We have seen our land conservation mission become all the more poignant this year as the real estate market has gone through the roof. The pandemic forced many changes in our schedule, but we adapted and were able to hold several successful events in spite of everything. The third series of bird classes, taught by ALT board member and professional ornithologist, Dr. Charles Clarkson, was held online over the spring months and was very much enjoyed by all those who attended. Our annual summer fundraiser, Fiesta Verde, was reimagined as Evening at Home, which provided all of the ingredients for a wonderful summer dinner with family and friends. We thank everyone who bought tickets for that event or sent donations, and we ask you to save the dates of July 14th and 15th this summer for our next Evening at Home, featuring wonderful 3-course meals, local flowers, local wine, and more. We were very pleased to host our annual golf tournament at Newport National Golf Club in September, where 72 supporters enjoyed a fantastic day of play to raise funds for conservation. Thank you to everyone who played, and please save the date of September 13th for this year's event. ALT established the Merritt Neighborhood Fund in 1999 to honor the late Peter M. Merritt, the organization's visionary President Emeritus, for his decades of leadership. In fiscal year 2020, we distributed over $13,000 in grants to these 7 groups, supporting projects that beautified our cities and towns, educated our children, and promoted healthy lifestyles in our community. We thank the Van Buren Charitable Foundation for generously supporting this fund. We are very grateful to those who have made plans to donate to ALT through a planned gift from their estates. We honor them by recognizing them as members of the Green Island Society. If you have included ALT in your estate, please let us know so that we can honor you with a membership in the Green Island Society as well. We appreciate bequests of any size. If you are interested in learning more about how a legacy gift can be made for land conservation, please contact us. Finally, I wanted to announce that ALT was reaccredited by the Land Trust Alliance in 2020. ALT is the oldest accredited land trust in Rhode Island, and to date has conserved just over 2,619 acres, over 83 properties. Our success is due to the professionalism and dedication of our trustees, our advisors, our staff, and you, our partners in preservation. Together, we make a terrific team. And now I'd like to turn things over to Alex Schuman, our Stewardship Director, for a Trails report. But before I do, let's take a quick survey. Please indicate how many people you think have visited ALT trails since last March. 13,000, 37,000, or 50,000?
Thanks, Chuck. So while folks answer that, I'll say, like never before, this year has really shown us the importance of open spaces, parks, and trails on our physical and mental health. And so earlier this year in March 2020, we deployed trail counters across our trail systems, and we have conservatively found over, drum roll on the survey question, 50,000 trail visits across our 12 miles since March, so in less than a year. And actually, where we have found historic trail data, we're seeing almost 3 times as much use now post-pandemic compared to pre-pandemic. And I think that really shows that our trails have been a really important escape for folks who need to get outside safely and exercise and increase their mental health, improve their mental health. And I will say that we've gotten nothing but good comments from our trail users about people being very respectful of distancing and state guidelines. So we're really appreciative folks have been doing a good job about that. And we encourage you, if you haven't been out on the trails, to do so. And I can't resist the opportunity with an audience here just to remind folks to please follow our trail rules. And most importantly, that's really staying on the trail corridor and picking up after your dog. And that'll really keep not just our fellow trail users happy, but also neighbors and landowners as well. So thank you for that. So for our next, and I think we can advance this slide here. So our next poll, which is also our last poll, is what is your favorite ALT trail? Is it the Scotty Greenway Trail, which is our 10-miler and the longest hiking trail on Aquidneck Island? Is it the Little Creek Preserve, which is our half-mile trail, our newest trail off Raymond's Lane? Oakland Forest, which is a trail we have through the old growth beech forest up in Portsmouth? Or the Gewurst Trail at Spruce Acres, which is 1.5 miles on the Portsmouth Middletown town line. And we'll share those results momentarily. So with continued use on all of those trails that I just mentioned, our trails really needed some love the past year. And this year has been a little tricky, obviously, for group volunteer projects, but we have been able to do quite a few improvements. We've resurfaced 2,000 feet of trail this year, and 600 of that is was with bog bridges, and the rest was resurfacing. For the coming year, we also have some improvements planned. We're planning to finish up the new boardwalk and viewing platform at Little Creek Preserve, which will be exciting. We're working with some of our landowners with trails, in particular Newport National, to resurface some of the areas that have really gotten pretty wet over the years, particularly come spring. And we also have various planting projects planned. So we've got a lot of exciting projects for the next year. And here are the results. It looks like fairly wide distribution. Most folks like this kind of Greenway Trail, which makes sense. It's our longest trail. In terms of the Little Creek Preserve, which was the lowest result here, I encourage folks to get out there. There's parking off Bremen's Lane. It's really a great spot for birding and wildlife viewing. I did also want to mention some improvements at Spruce Acres we had planned. We did get a grant for a new picnic pavilion at the site, which should be built hopefully this spring or summer. And we've also got plans to build a pollinator garden and expand the community garden there on site. So next slide. So as we always do, we wanted to say thank you to our volunteers. Even though we haven't had as much fun doing group volunteering this year, we still have a committed group that have been doing a lot of independent work out there, whether it's on the trail or helping with committees. We've also had a lot of new interest in volunteering, which we appreciate. And while we haven't been able to sort of do as much as we'd like in that fashion, we're really excited, hopefully come summer when conditions optimistically improve, that we'll be able to do a lot of great work together as a group. I also wanted to mention kind of a neat citizen science project that our land stewardship coordinator, Anita Montero, has been putting out there this spring, which is species diversity survey using the iNaturalist app. And you can find that on our website, more information on that. And that's the purpose of that will be to kind of help figure out exactly how many species are using a lot of our public properties. And also, if you're interested in learning more about volunteering, you can feel free to reach out to me or look up more information on our website. And finally, we'd like to honor two special people who have spent a lot of time with ALT over the years who unfortunately passed away this past year. The first is Tim Mills, who I'm sure many people know. Was the harbor master in Newport, but he was also a trail volunteer and supporter of the land trust. In fact, most recently, he rebuilt a section of boardwalk on this kind of Greenway Trail. I think it was built better by him than it was originally, to be honest. And the other person is George Thurston, who again, I'm sure many people have shared a laugh with over the years at the family tree farm up in Portsmouth. George was one of the first landowners to work with the land trust to conserve his land. He's also a former board member. So we just wanted to honor them tonight, and we'll both miss them very much. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jonathan Giewirst again, who is our board chair.
Thank you, Alex. I'm happy to report that the 7th annual ALT Art and Writing Contest was a great success. The contest aims to promote an appreciation for their environment in the youth of Aquidneck Island by asking them to draw, paint, or write about their favorite vistas on the island. The response was terrific. 165 students from 10 local schools submitted original artwork, essays, or poems, and we thank them all for their entries. We also thank the judges, Nora Dietrich, Eric Greenberg, Susan Weithaler, Catherine Galliano, and Annie Sherman-Luke for the time and careful consideration they gave our entrants. The winners will receive a cash prize and an ALT household membership. A generous grant will be given to the first place winners' schools to further the aim of promoting the value of a healthy environment. And I'm pleased to recognize our winners this evening. For the art category, the elementary school winners are: first place, Hyu-Sung Lee, first grade, Pell Elementary School. Second place, Nathaniel Morgan, 3rd grade, Melville Elementary School. And 3rd place, Joel Morgan, 1st grade, Melville Elementary School. The middle school winners are 1st place, Aggie Howell, 8th grade, the Penfield School. 2nd place, Margaret Humphrey, 8th grade, the Penfield School. And 3rd place, Aaron Alphonse, 7th grade, Portsmouth Middle School. The high school winners are 1st place, Olivia Marshall, 12th grade, Rogers High School. 2nd place, Emma Bartlett, 11th grade, Rogers High School. And 3rd place, Delaney Govea, 11th grade, Rogers High School. For the writing category, the elementary school winners are 1st place, Grace Dalton, 4th grade, Pell Elementary School. 2nd place, Caroline Whitlock, 4th grade, St. Michael's School. 3rd place, Braden Martin, 1st grade, Melville Elementary School. The middle school winners are 1st place, South Fulweiler, 8th grade, St. Michael's School. 2nd place, Charlotte Colby, 8th grade, the Penfield School. 3rd place, Maliana Nuki, 8th grade, St. Michael's School. The high school winners are 1st place, Trayvon Anderson, 11th grade, Middletown High School. 2nd place, Hiroto Bito, 11th grade, Middletown High School. And 3rd place, Carla Costa, 11th grade, Middletown High School. We congratulate all our winners and thank every student who entered. Thank you for looking, thinking, and feeling about your environment. You are the next generation of land and water protectors. In closing tonight, let's remember that more trails and farms, clean drinking water and clean air, and inspiring vistas all correlate to acreage protected. So please spread the word about the importance of the work ALT does. And thank you for helping us to complete our Sweetberry Farm campaign via the QR code or by making a donation on our website, and for your ongoing support of our shared mission. Thank you all for spending time with us this evening. With your support, we have accomplished so much. We look forward to a great 2021 with you as our partners in preservation. On to 3,000 acres conserved. Good night.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.